Well, some have reported that during the lockdown there have been violations of human rights by security officials, especially here in Lagos, in Ogun, and in the FCT. Say the situation has continued unabated with reported cases. We will take more attention now to this by joining us from our Abuja studio, Mr. Mike Ejiofor, the former director of the Department of State Services. He joins us from our studio in Abuja. Thank you, Mr. Ejiofor, for joining us on the News at 10.
Thank you.
And I'm sure that you have heard, some of these stories of people who either have been exploited by security agents or who have, come under, some form of abuse by these security agents. Do you think that, this is as a result of the lockdown itself, or this is just a general problem, of the relationship that exists between security agents and citizens?
Well, I don't think it's entirely the lockdown issue. You see, there have been problems between members of the police and between the members of the security forces and the members of the public due to lack of understanding between both parties. And it was compounded by this issue of lockdown, where the security officials would try to exploit the situation by going outside their mandate to enforce the regulations. So I think that was what complicated that. We recorded some issues of abuses. It's not unexpected, but I believe that we can still improve on the relationship between our security forces and members of the public.
And how can we improve the relationship? Because from next week, we go into a different phase, of the lockdown with the easing of the restrictions. But bearing in mind, there will be a curfew from 8 p.m. to 6 a.m.
Well, you see, the enforcement of curfew is not going to be as difficult as enforcement of other regulations. Why I say this is that the issue of the face mask, yes, one can that can easily be enforced, but movement. Take Lagos, for instance. People who are living in distant places are expected to be in their homes before 8 o'clock. Somebody from Victoria Island or any of the Ikoyi and any of those areas moving to Agege, for instance, and is held up on the road, is going to have problems with members of the security forces. In fact, my problem is not the issue of enforcement now. My problem is that we should be able to identify what exactly we should look inwards to look for solutions to the cure of this pandemic. Because very soon, unfortunately, we are going to have a spike in the community spread. Not just the community spread, we are going to have problems with the elite spread because there are some people, some of the elites, who are concealing their status because of stigmatization. And I don't see why they shouldn't be doing that. So coming back to the main issue, we have a problem of enforcement because Monday, for instance, where there will be partial lifting of the lockdown, is going to be chaotic. So I believe that our security agencies must be up in their game, draw out strategies, look at the ways of trying to enforce it, because especially at the banks, the markets, it's going to be difficult, I must tell you, to control or enforce some of these regulations within the first week. Because staying at home for 6 weeks, I went on isolation a week before the federal government declaration of the lockdown. You see, people who have been locked down and there are no palliatives. The palliatives we are hearing of, you hear bag of rice, mostly from individuals and not from government. And that is creating a lot of problems. The first week of this, I think, is going to be very chaotic, and the security agencies must be ready to tackle the challenges associated with it.
And you do also understand, and I'm sure you observed that, there were quite a number of security issues, especially here in Lagos during the lockdown. But we've also seen, a great reduction in some other violent crimes, such as attacks, kidnapping, banditry. Do you think that more special measures should be taken to make sure that even after the lockdown, these, violent crimes are kept at their lowest still?
Well, for the issue of Lagos, most of the challenges we're having in terms of control are in the major cities. You talk of Lagos, Kano, Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory. Those are the areas we expect some challenges. And there's going to be upsurge in crimes associated with this partial lifting of because the criminals on their own part were locked down. So they must go out to look for what they're going to do. So there's going to be upsurge in criminal activities. That's why I say that our security agencies, especially the police, must draw out strategies to check this likely upsurge. But at night, it's going to be easy during the curfew that people are not allowed to move around. So it's going to be easy at night. But during the day, I expect a very chaotic situation, especially the first 2-3 days.
Mr. Mike Ejiofor, thank you again for joining us on the News at 10. We do hope authorities are listening. And, of course, we all want the safety of lives and property. Thanks again.